Welcome back to Montferrat's Wild Ride, or maybe I should call it Bulgaria at this point. Today our goal is to form Serbia, form Romania, and then finally form Byzantium. Well, maybe not finally, because of course we're going to form Rome in the future, but in order to facilitate that we're going to go to war with Hungary. We need to take a few locations off them, just 4 for us to form Serbia, and then we'd of course like to take as many Romanian locations as we can. I currently can't see the Romanian formable, but I assume we're probably not there yet when it comes to being able to form them. We're going to need to wait a few months to get our diplomats, 4 months specifically. Our stability needs to drop below -50 as well for us to declare war, so we'll just wait for that to happen. Hungary is allied to Poland, but they no longer are allied to Bohemia, so hopefully we can deal with them. It looks like I was misremembering. I thought we would be able to declare war immediately, but looks like I forgot to, and also we still have a truce. So we'll relax a little bit then, as we're not necessarily as in much of a rush as I thought we were. I actually think we're going to start spending a little on stability. We really want to bring it down. I'd love to use a cabinet minister to help decrease it, but there's so much land we need to core, right, that it's probably not a good use of our time. One thing that is going to be helpful is once we form Serbia, we'll gain all of their cores. Same with Byzantium. So with that in mind, I'm trying to avoid coring land, although I am coring this area here. Let's actually change that. Let's core somewhere that isn't going to become our core free, like Albania. France is calling for a crusade against Egypt. Kind of funny. I don't think we'll get involved. Last time I got involved with a crusade, I ended up being the one doing all the work and suffering all the casualties, so I'd rather not commit to such an affair. The French can be the ones to waste the lives of their soldiers, though probably they won't even be able to get over there because the AI seems to not be very good at transporting its armies overseas, and even if they did, it's likely they would just get handled by the Egyptians when they landed. Either way, not my problem. What is my problem is our CB on Hungary. Let's begin creating that. It's going to take about 2 years, and then we'll be ready to declare war on them. We've just got our parliament. We're going to use this to conquer what's left of Wallachia. We'll use the old fabricate CB on them. Doesn't particularly matter where for. Then we'll declare war. They have allied with this little nation here. We might conquer them as well. They're, I assume, part of what is considered Romania, so it'll be good to nab them. All right, let's declare war. This should be a very quick conflict. Oh, we're actually going to lose some stability because we like these guys. Let's insult them then. We'll insult them, wait for another diplomat. Now we'll once again declare war, pull them in as a co-belligerent, so it should be easier to take their land and not as costly. This should be a relatively quick conflict. They do have a fort though that we'll need to siege down. Hopefully it won't extend the war too long. To be fair, we're not necessarily in a rush. We're waiting on our CB with the Hungarians. So it'd be the best thing that could happen would be the war take us right up to the CB becoming available with Hungary, because then we can go straight from one war to the next with no delay. CB's available against Hungary. We're still at war here. We're very close to sieging down this fort though, so just waiting a little bit should be enough. And I think there we go actually. Let me just assign somewhere else to get cored. Now we'll make peace. We're not actually going to full annex with Wallachia because they control land that's outside of the regions I wanted to conquer in the Pontic steppe. I may take Crimea in the future. After all, we still have some Pontic population there that we'd love to protect, but I don't think I'll expand into the Pontic steppe beyond that. So we'll just throw the Wallachians out of the region. They can play around with the weird steppe nations that exist over there. We'll then de-raise our levies, and now we can immediately declare war on Hungary. We're going to call in Naples. We're going to call in Genoa. What happened to Austria? Oh, Austria must have broken their alliance with us. Maybe they were forced to by the Hungarians. That's unfortunate. I was hoping I could call them in. Them not being in makes it a little more awkward. Too bad we can't pull the Pope in though. Maybe we could though. The Pope is pretty close to joining, so if we improve our relationship with him during the war, he may come round to our side of things. But let's declare war to start with. Pull in the Nepalese and the Genoans as mentioned. It gives us a slight advantage in the war, but it's very much going to be based around actually fighting and winning, right? We don't have any regulars because I've been holding off making them. The Hungarians have you. We could call up mercenaries if things start to become a little pear-shaped. We'll see how things go. I don't intend to lose the war though. I very much want to take that land and I'm not willing to be denied. So the goal is we need the 4 locations that we need to form Serbia. Let me just verify. Yes, it's these locations here. So if I just took, say, this province, that would be enough, or this province, that would be enough. So let's say that one. And then I'd like to take as much land that is considered or is a part of Romania. I can't see, obviously, how much land is a part of Romania, but I believe it's Moldova, Transylvania, and Wallachia are the 3 areas required to form Romania. So something like this. This will be impossible, obviously, because of the Moldovans. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what we can scratch out or gain as part of the war. I think if we're lucky, we'll take all of Transylvania. That would be a nice region to take, and will probably put us over the point where we can form Romania, or at least I'd like to hope it does. Fighting seems to to mainly be taking place around Aqualia by our allies. We haven't seen anyone invade our land except for a Moldovan army that came and occupied some locations. I'm a little wary of moving in and starting to occupy land myself, but it is something we're going to have to do. This war is based around war superiority, so taking land isn't as valuable. I think I'm going to hold off making any movements into enemy territory just yet. I'd really like for them to invade me so that we can get some battles in, like these guys who've decided to invade. We'll kill them. But of course, taking losses would be the worst possible thing that could happen because it would really tank our war score. Luckily, our allies seem to be winning most of the battles they're fighting. Maybe I'm a little wary of the Hungarians after the many wars I fought with them across EU5. We're definitely winning more than we're losing. We are starting to see mercenaries taking form though. I'd really like the Polish to peace out. They're the ones that I think, you know, once they're gone, we don't really have anything to fear. We're still trying to get the Pope in. He's quite close to joining now. I think it's just a matter of time. Then hopefully he can just sweep the field. Not that we necessarily need him, but we definitely prefer him to come in, do all the work so we don't take any casualties or any unnecessary casualties. Right, the Pope has decided to join. We'll call him in. We can see there's quite a lot of mercenaries being called in by the Polish at the moment. Actually, Poland's willing to peace out. I guess we'll send them straight off. Now it's just the Hungarians and their Croatian union, but the Croatians aren't very strong. They've lost all their army. In fact, this is the point where I think it's about time we start invading ourselves. We'll cross the borders, prioritizing occupying the forts. After all, not occupying the forts does increase the cost of taking territory. If I could find a forted location, I could show it off. Yep, you can see here this location. Because the fort has not been occupied, the efficiency that lets us take the land for cheap is being reduced. So taking the fort will benefit us. Alright, I think we should make peace now. Before we do actually, let's see all of the land that Serbia has cores on. It's quite awkward to see it. We can see it by kind of looking at the deceased nation, but we can see their core land is this. Could we take everything that they have cores on? We could, I think. Let me just double check. I think we might not be including this little location here. Let me just check. No, actually we're getting everything. The real question I have is, are we taking enough land to form Romania? I think it's just one of those things I'm going to have to accept. We're not going to know. We'll take this. Take some money from them as well. There we go. Push them back. I didn't actually check antagonism. We're going to assume it's fine. Now let's move our capital out of Bulgaria and move it over to Serbia. Is there a location we'd like to... Well, actually, we should have cored some of it. Ooh, did I not core some of it? I definitely thought I did. What a fool. I probably did, actually. This, I think, this land here is cored. No, it's not. Is this land here cored? Yes, it is. I knew I see I'm not a fool. I knew that I wanted to move my capital here, so I preemptively cored some of the land. We'll move our capital there, immediately form Serbia, although we're having a civil war right now, so I don't think it's taken any of our Serbian land, but we'll fight this. Then we'll think about forming Romania. That might be a little awkward. Maybe awkward is the wrong word. We just need to switch over to a Romanian culture. We'll probably do Wallachia because there's probably a lot of them, or there is a lot of them in our nation, and then we'll get to see what Romania actually requires to form it. Once we see that, we can think about forming it. All right, civil war's over. Our capital has made it into Serbia, so we'll immediately form them, allowing us to enjoy all of the Serbian advances, and it looks like even a Serbian law has been made available to us. We'll think about changing to that in the future, maybe. I'll need to think on it. But now that we've formed Serbia, we should gain a bunch of new events that we are now eligible for. We'll have to see whether they trigger or whether they're beneficial. For now, though, let's flip our culture over to Wallachian. It's going to hit our stability and legitimacy for a bit, so we're going to be down on those. We are now at Wallachia. Let's see, where is Romania? There it is. We're actually already eligible to form it. All we need to do is move our capital into the region. That is a little awkward because I can see here a few Serbian events require our capital to be in certain locations. In fact, actually, it looks like we have an event here if we're an empire to move our capital to Constantinople. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to become an empire. Let's think about moving our capital into Romania then. Is there a delay on us moving our capital? There's not. Problem is we need to core somewhere. Have we cored anywhere that is part of Romania? I don't think so. We're working on coring the territories though, and then the moment somewhere is cored, we'll move into the region. So we're just waiting on that aspect. While we're here, we'll of course make Wallachian love Greek so that when we switch back to Greek, it'll be easier to accept Wallachian culture. When it comes to grabbing the new advances we have access to, we need to be a little careful we don't grab ones that we're going to become ineligible to get, like this one here that requires us to be Wallachian culture, because of course we're not going to be Wallachian culture anymore once we switch over to Greek. So we don't want to waste time grabbing advancements and researching them if they're just going to be lost. Sad too, because some of these advancements are pretty great, like this one, 0.10 legitimacy, or this one an extra 5 to the satisfaction of the nobility, but alas, sometimes that's just how it goes. Here's one of those Serbian events I was mentioning. Let's just build a castle here. I guess we'll do it. It was only 40 ducats, and we have quite a lot lot of money, though the lack of... Actually, wait a minute, what am I doing? Let's slap the clergy for an extra bit of legitimacy. No reason that those clerics walk the earth freely, right? If they can pay, they should. Here's another event that lets us move our capital to Belgrade. I think we'll just do it. Doesn't really make a difference to us since we're going to move our capital out of the region anyway. Pausing all this Serbian land, which is definitely nice. Means we won't need to waste time coring it ourselves. There, we've managed to core a location in Wallachia, so we'll just move straight there. Our economy's starting to have troubles maintaining itself, but that's honestly 100% expected. In fact, maybe let's have one of our integrators. Let's have him instead boost legitimacy. That way we can save a bit of money. It's going to be costly moving back to Constantinople. We might just use a government bond in order to get the money to do so. All right, we've made it. So let's form Romania. Gain access to these new advancements. Nothing truly crazy. An extra government reform's always nice though. We are now Romania. Now for our final step, we just need to move back to Constantinople and once again become Greek. Problem is we need to wait until 1455 before we can switch our culture again. And our stability is currently very low. Extra unfortunate because Romania isn't a existing nation. They don't actually start with any cores, so we didn't gain cores on all of Romania or anything cool like that. So we'll need to core all of that land manually. I'm sure we'll survive though. Let's make sure to grab those Romanian advances wherever they are. There we go. Always love our extra government reforms. We've gotten our government reform from becoming Romanian, but part of me kind of wants to save it for when we become Byzantium, and then we can use it to grab the Byzantium government reforms. To be fair, a lot of those Byzantium government reforms are essentially free because they give more government slots, but we need a government slot in order to accept them in the first place. So as I said, I think we are just going to keep a hold of it for now. That way it will be easier to grab the government reforms that become available. Ooh, there goes our ruler, puts into a regency. I believe we have a very good successor though. There was someone with around nearly 100 in every stat. He should be in the running because his stats were so high. Let's see if we can find him. There he is. He's a 90, 90, 90. Almost 100. We might be able to buff him up to an 100 via using the parliamentary issues. We do have another candidate though. He's a 70, 170. He's older though. We definitely put a younger ruler who's got higher stats. So we'll go with our 90, 90, 90. Whoa, I didn't notice, but Spain has actually formed. How astonishing. I feel like they never tend to form. It looks like they've just eaten enough of Aragon that they've been able to become Spain. Definitely nice to see. Portugal's getting destroyed though, but maybe they deserve it. All right, there's only 2 years before we're able to change our culture again. So I think we're going to preemptively move our capital back to Constantinople. We'll take out a government bond to do so, just because they give us a lot of money and the interest isn't as high than a normal loan. Then we'll move back to Constantinople. We are going to need to convert to Orthodox. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to accept the demands of the Orthodox rebels, which is going to immediately convert us to Orthodox. That will only cost us legitimacy as opposed to converting religion, which would cost us stability. Whether it's better or not, I'm not quite sure. All I know is our stability is very low. So let's accept those demands. I hope the Holy Roman Emperor doesn't demand I convert back to Catholicism before I'm able to form Byzantium. That would be awkward. Maybe we should have waited a little longer, but we've already crossed the line, so we might as well just roll with it. Now we just need to switch back to Greek. Again, we're just waiting for the timer to expire in 2 years, and then we'll just do it straight away. Once that's done, we shouldn't need to convert our religion or culture ever again, so we can finally think about having positive stability and not having our legitimacy constantly drop. There we go. We'll now switch to Greek, finally. Luckily, we've accepted all of the cultures, or we've changed their view of Greek so high that accepting all of them is very cheap now, allowing us to keep all of the cultures we've accepted at no real culture cost, which in turn allows us to full core a lot of their lands, which is excellent, but we'll now become Byzantium. It was a roundabout way to do so, but Byzantium is back. Before we do anything, we need to look at events. Because Byzantium has a lot of events, but some of them will have triggered or we will have become ineligible for, which will affect our decisions going forward. For example, here's this Reform the Byzantine Army one. This is one we definitely want to do. It's 40 years until it expires. So we're going to need to grab the decaying theme system, and then we're going to need to get 10,000 regulars. Whether we're able to do it in the 40 or 44 or so years we have, and whether it will trigger with a 1% chance, is all up there. We'll have to see. But there's definitely some events we're ineligible for here, for example the Fate of the Phoenix based ones, because we can't trigger the Fate of the Phoenix now, so it's simply not an option for us. But we'll go through and quickly grab as many of these government reforms as we can. We have now been elevated to an empire as well, despite being a member of the HRE, which is definitely nice. We eventually want to take over the HRE, of course, but we need to convert back to Catholicism. Hopefully the Emperor, who is the Emperor currently? Austria. Hopefully they demand we convert back relatively quickly. It's out of our hands though, it's not something we can force. The AI just has to decide to do it. We also have access to bureaucracies, colonies. I think we're going to hold off handing any out. Actually, are there any we really want to hand out right now? It's going to push our legitimacy low, but our legitimacy is almost at the floor anyway. I really like handing out books because it reduces the amount of power of the other estates, especially at its highest levels. Speaking of which, I haven't actually checked. Do we have any new privileges that we could hand out for our estates? We do have a few, it looks like. Is there anything really amazing I'd love to hand out? Nothing's jumping out at me as being particularly amazing, so I think we'll survive without it. But yes, I think let's grab books. It's going to hit our economy a bit, but it should help us by reducing the estate's power as well. We also get another cabinet seat because we've become an empire. We've gained cores on all of the Byzantine land as well from becoming Byzantium, so that's also helpful. Another thing we could do is also bring up Pronoia. We can of course embrace Pronoia now and start handing them out. As you can see, we're immediately eligible for a bunch of disasters now though, specifically the Byzantine succession crisis. This crisis, we're probably just going to have to go through it. It's not really avoidable, and I'd rather just get it out of the way. Hopefully it does trigger instead of these other ones like the succession crisis or the coup attempt. It is kind of out of our hands which one triggers though. Luckily we are going to start getting a lot of events from being Byzantium, specifically for retaking our territories in Anatolia. So if we're lucky, we'll get the events that really buff our legitimacy and stability, which will help bring it up and stop the other disasters we don't really want triggering. Here we go. Yep, bid for the Byzantine crown. It's being led by this fellow. He's 43, so it's entirely possible he'll just die at some point before the revolt happens, but we'll have to see. One thing we can do is spend. Unfortunately, we don't have any artists in our country, so we can't commission a chronicles, and we don't really want to stop the revolt from happening anyway. We want them to revolt as fast as possible. Can we see them in the list? I don't see them right now. They should pop up relatively quickly. Yep, there they are, the crown pretenders. We want them to spawn as quickly as possible so we can just kill them, because we really don't want this disaster to last too long because of how bad the negative events are. Thinking about it, one of the things we could do is just accept the pretenders' demands instead of doing anything else. It only cost us legitimacy, and our legitimacy was pretty low at the start before I started buffing it, so maybe that would have been the smarter thing to do. I've also noticed the pretender is literally just our current ruler's father anyway, though he is quite old, but we've reached this point where the revolt's almost going to happen, so I think we'll let them revolt and we'll just destroy them. Old dad should know not to oppose his much superior son after all. Yep, there's the revolt. We'll call in our allies. They might come over and help us. I don't think we really need their help though. It's just more about cleaning the revolt up faster. Oh, and there's the Italian wars. I'm not sure we're really going to get in. Well, I mean, we do want to expand into Italy, obviously. We want to do a fair amount of expansion in Italy, especially now that we've finished our transformation into Byzantium. We'll have to see what the situation looks like. We have been allied with Naples for a long time, so I don't really feel good about betraying them, but I suppose we don't really have a choice, right? Rome must be reborn, and things like friends and allies will have to be sacrificed on the altar of Roman restoration. Here's our newest parliament. I'm planning to use this to change a few laws. As you can imagine now, we have lots of laws that we can now change over to their Byzantine versions. The Pronoia system is one of them. Has the event to reform the Pronoia system passed us by? That's a question I have. Yes, it looks like the previous Byzantium actually had the reformation of the Pronoia system, so we can't get this event now, which means we can never get the better versions of the Pronoia. We're stuck with the really bad version. So I need to think, should we go with it anyway? It is bad, but because if you've watched my other video I made about the Pronoia system, because of the succession law we have, we'll be able to inherit every Pronoia essentially within one generation of releasing them, allowing us to very rapidly and pretty much freely inherit territory. But at the same time, that -10 to max tax is absolutely awful, right? There are a few other laws we'd like to change either way. For example, we want to switch our legal code over to the Byzantine law. Gives us an extra government form, gives us an extra bureaucratic slot, always nice. But I really am wondering over that Pronoia option. The Pronoia will essentially pay for themselves because they'll provide us income, but at the same time, just having -10% to all of our tax incomes isn't great. Ooh, I think we're going to do it. It's really unfortunate that the other Byzantium already had the event trigger. It must have just triggered before they died, which, as I said, is definitely unfortunate, but we'll just have to roll with it. All right, there's the war over. The disaster, it should just end. It looks like it's not going to though. It looks like it's going to happen again, the revolt. That's odd. Usually the disaster just ends immediately after, or usually it ends when the revolt is happening. Are we really just going to have to wait for the leader of the revolt to die? Looks like it. The revolt's going to, well, looks like the revolt's going to happen again at least. As I said, very odd. We'll just, I guess, have to roll with it. We can't release any vassals because we're in this disaster, or I would immediately start releasing the historical subjects I want to release. Right, here's take 2 of the revolt. This time they've actually taken Constantinople. Luckily, the disaster has now ended though, so there won't be a next time. Hopefully we can force them to surrender without having to take Constantinople itself. It's very annoying they did take it. Luckily I haven't started building up buildings in the province because I was preserving my income. Definitely annoying though, but not as annoying as it could be. Alright, that's that done. The disaster's over. We won't have to think about it ever again. Since we don't need to move our culture, religion, or capital again, we also don't need to worry about those things happening. We do need to switch back to Catholicism, but hopefully the Holy Roman Emperor eventually just demands we do it and we can do it for free. And now we can begin thinking about certain things. As mentioned, we do want to reform our army. It's going to be, where's the event? It's going to be a little costly. We very quickly need to get up to that 10,000 regulars. We only have 38 years before this event becomes ineligible. So with that in mind, I think we're going to take another 2 government bonds. This will be our maximum. We're also going to begin releasing some subjects. We're going to release basically anyone we can as a pronoia, unless we've already cored their territory. So we're going to keep an eye on our core map mode. Maybe I should have destroyed Wallachia. In fact, where is Wallachia? They are destroyed. Let's just release them then. Although for some reason we can't release Wallachia. They're not showing up as a releasable nation. Did they? Oh, they lost all their cores on our land for some reason. I did remember revoking some of their cores, but definitely not all of them. Either way, who else is there to release? We have cores on pretty much all of our territory, honestly, so there's no one crazy. I guess we can release some of these Greek states. We'll get cores on them once they're integrated. There's also some Turkic states we can probably release. We could just release the Ottomans. I don't think we will though. Now we'll begin building buildings to give us manpower. We're going to need as many as we can, really. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to hand out another bureaucracy, specifically the themata one, just for the little bit of an increase to our manpower gain. We're also going to get rid of this bureaucracy anyway once we get the event. It would be awkward if we don't get the event now, since I've gone out of my way to do things that rely on the event happening, but I'm sure it's something we can overcome. We're going to continue building buildings. If you're wondering why my money got so high, I actually took some money from our friendly bank. I think it was around 3,000 ducats. So we're just going to pump all of that into buildings for the moment. We really just need the manpower. Then we can begin pumping that manpower into soldiers. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to throw down the old silk monopoly in Constantinople. Constantinople currently makes 33 ducats. With the silk monopoly online, it goes up to 47. Definitely nice. Once we research it, we'll also throw down the other silk urban right in the city to buff our silk income even further. My plan is to save up 10,000 manpower and then just create 10 men-at-arms so that I can get the amount I need all at once without having to do anything crazy or having to wait for the manpower to actually come in. We'll of course continue building armories. I'm also thinking about our next war. We're probably going to keep expanding into Hungary. Since we've already fought and beat them, there's no reason not to expand, and we can release nations like, say, Bosnia, though for some reason Bosnia's lost a lot of its territory, and once we conquer them we can release Croatia. We might actually release Hungary itself as a pronoia, just so we can inherit all the land once we fully conquer them. We of course do want to continue expanding into Asia, which is going to bring us into conflict with the Mamluks, but that's kind of inevitable, right? We also want to start expanding our navy, which I should probably get on now that there's not much reason not to. We'll start out only creating a few ships. We don't want to go, or we don't want to spend too much money, especially when we're going to need it to create those man-at-arms, right? It's going to cost us around 4,000 ducats to create the man-at-arms. So as long as we don't go too far under that amount, then we're really fine. We can always slap the burghers for some income if we find we need it. All right, there's our 10,000 soldiers or manpower. Now we can create our 10 men-at-arms, and that should be that. We're now eligible for the event. Hopefully it triggers. We've got around 31 years where it could trigger. If it doesn't, we won't cry, but it'll be a little annoying considering the amount of work we've gone through to do it. But to be fair, we were probably going to make a standing army anyway. It's not like we went too far out of our way, right? Ah, there we go. It happened relatively quickly. We've got the reform of the Byzantine army. We'll just throw out the previous decayed system in favor of the modern army. The modern army also gives us an extra government reform, which is nice. We'll lose the themata bureaucracy, and it'll be replaced with this one that I can't pronounce, and that will be that. Now that we've dealt with our internal goals and issues, time to start thinking about looking outward. There's the Italian League Wars. Personally, I feel like it's not really worth us investing a lot of time into it. How long before it ends? We've got 40 years until it ends. We need to gain 190 locations in the region in order to win. One of the things we could try to do is ask people to join our league diplomatically. Well, the problem is because we're not the right religion at the moment, after all, we became Orthodox. People don't really like us as much. We can't switch back to Catholic until 1473 as well, so we don't really have the options. Currently, no one's willing to join us diplomatically either, so our only real option is military expansion. We're currently allied with Naples, so I'm not sure, is it time we cut them off and go our own way? Who who are we even allied with still? We've lost most of our allies, I think, from switching religions around. We're allied to a bank, but they're not very helpful. Is there anyone willing to ally with us? Poland would. Milan is feeling like they'd like to ally with us as well. Austria's close to allying with us. Apparently they're over their limit when it comes to having too many relations, which is putting them off. But maybe what we should do is, since we are allied with Naples, let's try and use them to really fight through Italy. For example, we could attack Milan right now, say, and pull Naples in to win the war for us, really. Problem would be getting Naples to actually join the wars. We can see right now they've got very low levy availability, and they actually like Milan a lot, which means they're not really willing to join. To be fair, we don't necessarily need Naples to help us. The problem we're going to experience is actually the good old, my favourite, getting there. We don't really have a navy. I guess we can probably just, well, actually, Hungary hates us, don't they? Maybe we should fight a war with Hungary just so we can carve through to Italy. Then once we're there, we can do as we please, really. Let's begin building a spy network on Hungary. We can now use the Restore Roman Borders CB as well, so we can expand quite rapidly and take a fair amount of land. I guess we'll also form an alliance with Poland. They are allied with Hungary, so they're likely to break the alliance, but before we do go to war with Hungary, it'd be nice to have them on side. We could declare war on Sicily, and Naples is willing to join. Let's use the Italian wars to get a CB on Sicily. Then we'll declare war. We'll pull in Naples. They should probably be able to win it for us on their own. The Pope will be joining, but he'll be on the other side, unfortunately. Also, there's Brandenburg and Genoa, but Naples can probably just clean them up for us. Once we gain control of Sicily, we can use it as a stepping stone for further invasions of the region. I do hope the Neapolitans can just win it for us. I don't really feel like having to head over and get involved myself, and it would be a little awkward to do so since we don't really have a navy, and the Genoese, of course, as always, have a very large navy, and which would really prevent us getting involved. Looks like the Neapolitans have dropped the war relatively quickly. Not sure why, because we were winning. Maybe they just didn't care to help us out. As discussed though, we can't really get to our enemies. We can't pass through Hungary. I guess we could maybe get access through Ukraine and then through Poland, and then we could get to Brandenburg. Brandenburg doesn't actually have any forts, do they? So we could just roll over them. I guess let's see if we can do that. We're going to need to spend a bit of money just getting access through these nations. But once we're through, we're through. If we're lucky, the enemy will carry out naval invasions like this, and our vassals should just be able to clean them up. All right, that's Brandenburg dealt with. I'm a little hesitant to make peace with them because we can currently get access to Italy, probably because they have access through. With that in mind, I don't really want to make peace right now because we may lose that access and then I might have to pay for it. So first of all, we're going to make our way to Italy and then we'll think about piecing out Brandenburg. Hopefully there's no troubles. One of the things that's scary about moving around through land like this is you can't really see what's going on. So it's entirely possible we just stumble onto an enemy army that is also randomly moving through the land here. Oh, it looks like Poland wants to join our war. I guess we'll pull them in. No reason not to. The old Polish are always looking to help out, except when they're not. Looks like the Genoese want to peace out. We'll send them off. It's tempting to want to annex them or grab territory from them, but we shouldn't get too crazy with aggressive expansion, right? Not yet. Since we plan to annex Sicily in its entirety, we're likely already going to run afoul of people. Right, we've beaten the Pope. I am tempted to take some land from him, just land that I could release nations from, just because, you know, once I release them, they'll eventually be merged back into me once their ruler dies. So I think we are going to take a bit of territory. We'll also take some money from them. Always good to take money from the Pope. There's no one left in the war other than Sicily and Brandenburg, so we'll see Brandenburg off now. We'll have them pay us war reparations. I guess we'll humiliate them too and take money from them. Now we just need to deal with Sicily. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. We actually have a stronger navy than them, so if we find we can't actually get to the island because they're blocking us, we can just bring our 10 light ships over and have them smash them. Aha, I've again been waiting for this. The Holy Roman Empire will enforce religion on us, will convert back to Catholicism, meaning we are now eligible to be elected Holy Roman Emperor. We're not really being voted for right now, but if we increase our relationships with people, it should help. We also need to get our land into the HRE. Because the amount of land we control in the HRE is actually very small, they aren't considering us a large nation in the HRE. If we look at Austria, for example, they're getting a plus 75 because they're a dominant nation, because they have a population over 1 million. We aren't getting that because we don't have a large population in the HRE. Our population is outside the HRE. All we really need to do though is get a connection to the HRE and bring our land in. It's one of the reasons why I want to attack Hungary, because just a straight shot up to Austria, right, through Hungary. We're just going to finish off the war here with Sicily. It shouldn't be too much more of an issue. We just, yeah, now that we've taken that fort, we should probably get the maximum war score we need. Yep, we're at 100. We'll just wait for them to capitulate. There we go. We'll now full annex Sicily, and we'll annex Athens, who is their vassal here, luckily, because we don't really want to gain them as a vassal. So as mentioned, we'll full annex Sicily. We'll take as much much money as we can from them. And now we'll release Sicily again as a pronoia, and they'll eventually, once their ruler dies, be inherited, and then we'll gain full cores on their territory. We'll do the same with that bit of land we took from the Pope in central Italy. We'll also give Sicily the bit of, well, we'll give them Malta to manage as well, instead of releasing Malta as another vassal. There, that's that done. That puts us on 38 of the 200 locations we need in order to win the Italian wars. As I mentioned, I think winning the war might be a little too much for us, just because there's not enough time for us to really take all the land we need. If we had been Byzantium at the start, we definitely would have been able to, because we would likely would have taken a lot of land before the situation even began. Oh, for some reason, Naples decided to join the Balkan League. That actually puts us pretty close to winning. We're on 118 locations now. We would just need another 82, and we'd win. Is there anyone we could peacefully get to join? It doesn't look like it, sadly enough. Actually, Milan wants to join, but they're currently at war. They need to be at peace, and they'd gladly join. So maybe waiting. How many locations does Milan have? Can I see what league they're a part of? Then actually, they're not part of a league, are they? They're not part of a league, so that's probably why. I'm not sure what drove Naples to join our league. I guess they just love us. To be fair, Naples has had a pretty nice relationship with us in this campaign. Rare to see, but it's nice nonetheless. With that in mind, since we're now very close to winning the Italian wars, perhaps we should commit to it. We just need those other 82 provinces. I kind of want to hold off and see if Milan will join us, because that will give us 51. I don't want to do anything that might drive Milan to not joining us. They're currently at war with Egypt in a war to liberate Cyprus. I'm not sure how long that war is going to last, but I'm a little hesitant to just do nothing during this period, if that makes sense. So there's two other leagues. It's just a question whether we can destroy them. Is it possible for me to see the leader of the league? I guess, yeah, we can see Verona here is the one with the purple name, so I guess they're the leader. Does the league dissolve if you destroy its leader or he leaves the faction? I'm not sure. We have the third Italian league. Who leads them? Is it the Pope? No, it's Venice, not the Pope. Venice is definitely someone we would like to slap around, so maybe let's think about that. I was going to attack Hungary, but I've changed my mind with all of this happening. Since there's so much potential for us to win the League War, I don't see a reason not to really focus on it. It looks like the Papal State actually just left their faction as well. We could get them to join us. The Papal State's pretty positive towards us, just improving relationship a little bit should get them to join. So if them and Milan join, that's another 66 locations, putting us very, very close to winning the League War. It looks like Milan has decided to join the Venetian. No, maybe not Venetian. I think this was Verona's league. That's unfortunate. Did we get them? No, it looks like they like Verona too much to join us. The Pope's also had a lot of his land taken away by Genoa, and the Pope has also gone off and joined that league. So it looks like just waiting and hoping everyone joins us wasn't an option. They probably both liked Verona as well, and Verona was probably higher up on their list of likes than we were. Not the end of the world by any metric. We're going to get our CB on Venice relatively soon. We'll also begin building a spy network on Verona and see if we can't destroy them too. Right, there's our CB on Venice. Who's allied with Venice? They're allied with Aquileia. They've got Milan and Verona. They're allied with everybody, I guess. It'd be really good if we could bring Naples into this war, because they'd be very helpful with the fighting in Italy. Poland, not so much, but looks like one of the problems is that Naples actually likes Venice a lot. Since we still have our spy network, we could sabotage relationships a little bit between them. It's a bit of a long shot, but it might bring the Neapolitans into joining our side range. Nah, doesn't like it, sadly. They're not even willing to join if we offer land. They're actually not too far off though. The main thing is the levy availability and the low manpower. If we waited, both those things would eventually be corrected, but I don't think we're going to wait. We're going to declare war. We'll see if we can get them to join mid-war maybe. We're unlikely to be able to get to our enemies via sea, so we're going to, again, as always, have to walk, which isn't nice, but we don't really have an alternative. At the very least, we do have our vassals in Italy who may be able to cause some trouble for our enemies, perhaps. There's also good old Ragusa here, who our vassals can hopefully just siege down on their own without our involvement. Ragusa is a great nation to pronoierify since they are already a republic. They'll just be inherited the moment their next election comes up, which could be relatively soon based on their succession law. Since Verona's in the war, one thing we can also do is potentially force them to dissolve their Italian league. That might be enough to win the situation, because people will leave their league and in turn may join ours. We'll have to see if that can be achieved. First of all, let's begin asking for military access from the people that are in the way so that we can potentially actually get there. Alright, we have successfully gotten there. The hard part arguably is over. Now we just need to win, which is difficult in its own right, I guess. Let's occupy Aquileia's capital. We should be able to get them to peace out relatively easily. Yep, they're willing to peace out right now. In fact, we could turn them into a pronoia. That would anger people. Aquileia is one of those nations which has a democratic election system though. So in fact, I think they're currently in a regency. So if we Prenoyed them, we'd actually immediately annex Aqualia here. It's very bad, right? It's going to increase antagonism a lot, especially with Italian nations. But I think we're going to do it. I'm too greedy not to. Yep, there we go. Aqualia is immediately inherited. We may end up just releasing them again because it's going to be difficult to get control here, at least in the short term. All right, the war's going okay, I think. We fought lots of battles and we're winning. The problem is going to be actually getting and sieging things down. I kind of want Milan to just peace out normally, but in awful news, Naples have actually left our league and gone over and joined the Iberian League together with Spain. That makes things very awkward because even if we win now, we're unlikely to gain enough numbers to win the Italian war, or at least I think we're not going to have enough. Maybe we should just stick with it and hope for the best. And Poland, for whatever reason, just intervened and joined our war. Not really sure why. Not sure they're going to be much help either. At the very least, let's see if we can force Verona to dissolve their league. Yep, they're willing to. I guess we'll just demand war reparations from them as well, and some money. There's now one less league, and 94 locations up for grabs to join a league. Ooh, it looks like Hungary has actually intervened in the war as well, and Muscovy. They've both intervened in the war on the side of Venice. That's not great. Maybe that's why Poland joined, or maybe they joined because Poland joined. With that in mind, should we just make peace right now? We could just white peace. I think we're just going to have to white peace. Too bad. I was hoping to demolish the Venetian League, but it is what it is. It's always a good idea to know when to take a bow and leave the situation. So now, what's the league situation like? There's 73 locations that are no longer part of a league. Milan's going to be able to join a league in July, so we'll have to see what they do. A new league has formed, the Second Italian League, being led by our friend, the Bank of Bardi, which is pretty inconvenient because it's not like we can really attack them because they are a bank. They're also our ally, so we can't really attack them anyway. And they've pulled in quite a few locations to join their faction. How inconvenient. If Naples would just switch back and join our league, I think we'd pretty much win though. In fact, let's start building a spy network in Spain and see if we can sabotage relationships between them and Naples. Looks like Milan's gone over and joined the Venetian League. That's too bad. Really too bad I wasn't able to demolish that league. The league war actually ends in 12 years, I think. No, 16. No, 26. So we still have quite a while to maybe get those locations. I guess what we could do potentially is attack Spain and force them to dissolve their league. I'm not sure if you can dissolve the leagues that aren't Italian leagues though. I've never tried to. Ooh, it looks like Naples has switched back and joined our league. All right, so we're only 76 locations off winning the league war. There's still quite a few provinces or countries that haven't joined a league for whatever reason. Looks like because they're at war. What about the Pope? The Pope actually says he's fine joining our league. He just has to wait for the timer to tick down. I guess we'll see what league he joins. What we're probably going to do is wait out the timer and then attack Venice again and see if we can't once again and dissolve their league. Aha, so we get the event that annuls our truces with the other people in the region. This could work very well. We don't have a CB on Venice, unfortunately. I didn't think we'd need one so quickly. I guess we could campaign against them. Let's actually campaign for a location, or the problem is, I guess, yeah, could we campaign for this territory here? No, it's outside of Italy. That's unfortunate. I don't want to campaign for Venice itself because sieging it down is awkward and we're unlikely to get enough war score from occupying other things. But let's declare war. Naples is willing to join this time around, so they can perhaps just win it for us. Austria's joined the war on our side for whatever reason. I guess they just really don't like the Venetians. I think we can all kind of agree on that one though. But surely, as long as no one crazy joins, we should now win pretty easily. Poland has intervened in the war, but also has Egypt, of all nations. Egypt might not actually be able to gain access to us though. They may have to come via sea. Hopefully, no one else joins. I think we still have our truce with Hungary, yep, and Muscovy, so they're unlikely to join. Alright, Verona's had enough. Let's just get them out of here as fast as possible. I don't really want to drag the war out, especially with Egypt's presence. We really just need to take the capital of Venice, that being Venice itself, because that is the war goal. Problem is the Venetian navy is guarding the location, and there's no way we can stop them from stopping us from getting there. We'll just need to wait for a moment of hesitation, or whatever you'd call it, by the Venetians, and then we'll slip in, as we've done so, and begin sieging down Venice. Now, all we need to do is wait, and hope the Egyptians, let's look, have they? No, well actually they've delivered a few troops here to Greece itself. We'll just have to hope they aren't able to do enough damage that will stop us from forcing the Venetians to dissolve their league, because that is what we want. Looks like Milan's taken enough damage, so we'll just get them out as well. Let us just focus 100% on the Venetians, not on the Egyptians obviously. There's some we do not want to focus on by any metric. In fact, we'd prefer to pretend they're just not in the war entirely. This is just between me and Venice. There is no one else here. There we go, we've done it. We've managed to take Venice. Excellent. Now, can we force them to dissolve their league? League, we can. We could just finish things right here. Another option we have is to turn Venice into our pronoia. This would allow us to just inherit them on their next succession. But doing that, you know, it would massively increase our antagonism, would make everyone hate us. It's really tempting, it is. But I think we're just going to have them dissolve their league and hope that doing so is enough for us to win the league war. Well, there's now 90 locations that are not members of a league. We only need 76 of them to join us, and we'll of course win the league war. It's whether they will. We could invite Verona. These guys don't like us much. Let's improve relationships with them. Milan likes us enough that they join. They just need to wait until July, and they're all at war with France at the moment. It's just whether they'll join our league or join one of the other leagues. The only real risk is that they join the second league led by the bank. There's not much we can really do to stop them if they do. Venice has just joined that league. In fact, it looks like everyone's joined that league. That bank, the Bank of Bardi, I suppose they could just win the league war just because everyone loves them and wants to join them. Whether banks should be allowed to lead leagues is a separate question, I suppose. But let's end our alliance with them. They don't really have any other allies. They've just got Portugal. Our truce ends in 5 years. The league war lasts for another 20 years. So if we attack them in those 5 years, it looks like the nations just kind of flip between the factions. So I won't lose much sleep over Naples leaving. But we should, if we can destroy this league, surely we'll win the league war. Surely, right? I've invested a lot of time into trying to win this league war. I could have just conquered Hungary and I might even be HRE Emperor right now. And here we have the birth of Latin culture. Well, I definitely want to switch to it. How can we be a Rome without being Latin, after all? Well, the problems is we went through all that effort to increase our acceptance of the various cultures, right? But if we switch over to Latin, we won't be accepting those cultures. We'll lose out on all our cultural acceptance. So I think we're not going to switch over to Latin. We'll just say great and let them do their own thing. I think we're going to give up on the Italian League War as well because I can't even get a CB on the bank, and I'm not even sure we'd be able to get enough war score from fighting them because, you know, they don't actually have any locations. So as I said, I think we're going to give up on the League War. I've wasted a lot of time trying to do it. I think I even lost my regular army somewhere along the way, although I guess I didn't really notice. We'll just replace them. Instead, our next target, we're just going to go with Hungary. We want to cut our way to the HRE so that we can add all of our provinces to the HRE. I've kind of been dreading it because once we do it, I'm going to have to add every single location one at a time to the HRE. It's going to be painful. You won't have to experience it because I'll probably just edit that out, but it's going to be painful. I'm not looking forward to it. For now though, I think we'll leave things here. Thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time.